Well, hello, welcome back. My name is Rob, and you are, of course, back on Rule of Two Review, where today I'm going to review and give my thoughts on Destiny. Destiny is, of course, a really big deal, one of the most hyped games of this year, 2014, also one of the most hyped games in a really, really long time. Brand new IP from Bungie, first time they've split away from the Halo franchise, which very famously went to 343 Industries, who's taken it over since then. This brand new $500 million budgeted, 10-year experience shared world shooter, as they like to call it. And everyone's been talking about it. A lot of people have been playing it. And it's very interesting because it's the game that actually sold me on getting a PlayStation 4 because they revealed it with a white PlayStation 4 bundle. And when they showed that at E3, I was like, well, now I know I need to get my PlayStation 4 because I was excited to get, I have a Wii U, excited to get a PS4 and an Xbox One, but waiting on those to be sold to me. Really excited for Destiny, so I knew that that was probably, whatever platform I decided to play Destiny on was going to be the next of the next-gen platforms that I decided to get. I saw the bundle for Destiny, got that, very happy to pick up a PlayStation 4 to be able to play this game because I was also very hyped for it because I do love Halo. And so the kind of big thing about Destiny right now is it's kind of the zeitgeist title because everyone's talking about it, and with the kind of massive hype leading up to the game and the insane records that it broke on its first day and first week of sales in the US, it's interesting because the reviews haven't been wonderful, so that's why everyone's kind of not quite sure how to feel about Destiny right now. It's a game that you would want to think would be releasing to all these 9s and 9.5s and 10 scores, and is going to be, you know, probably going up as a Game of the Year contender, or some people thought it was going to be a Game of the Year lock before it actually came out. And while it does have a couple of bad reviews, it mostly just has mediocre reviews, which means there's a lot of people giving the game in the 7s. And, you know, 7s and 8s, which are good scores. That is usually a score indicating a pretty good game that might be worth your money to go out and buy or spend some time on. So it's not a lot, there's not a huge case of people just shitting all over the game. There's a lot of people who are still having good things to say about it and enjoying it quite a bit while still saying, well, it doesn't quite live up to its full potential and it doesn't do everything that they were promising. And for a game that had this budget and this, you know, development cycle, it didn't really live up to what they said that they could make with this game. And I certainly understand that, but honestly, I'm going to get into some of my thoughts, and to tell you the truth, I basically love the hell out of Destiny. So there's a lot of reasons for me to love Destiny personally, even though, like I said, I do understand why some people might feel like the game doesn't live up to certain standards. And I think a lot of that comes from what the game promised as far as the shared world MMO kind of experience that it's trying to go for, and what it's actually trying to provide as far as an immersive open world online community experience. And I think that it mostly delivers in that. I guess some people are feeling like there's other things lacking, and I'll get to that in a minute. I think the number one thing that I attach myself to is, first and foremost, you should know, I am a huge first-person shooter fan. I love that just because they're very simple, viscerally appealing games, you know, and they like appeal to like the most simplest fundamentals that we have as gamers and as people playing video games. That's why I like them. You know, I like the deep games. I like the story-driven stuff. Puzzle games, strategy, you know, the things that make you think real cerebrally. I love that stuff too, don't get me wrong. But I like the simpleness of a first-person shooter. I totally do. So, not afraid to admit that. When it comes to Destiny, what I have found personally is it is the best feeling, best controlled first-person shooter I have ever played. Now, I'm not saying it's the best first-person shooter I've ever played as far as the entire game, although it is very close. But when I'm talking about just the control, just the way it feels, the tactile experience of holding that controller in my hand, and all of the different things it allows you to do, how good everything feels, the response time, the fluidity of it all, it's insane. It's like butter, man. You just slice through that shit like butter. It just feels so damned good. So if there's any one place where I think that Bungie succeeded admirably and went above and beyond the Call of Duty, no pun intended, it's definitely in how the game feels. And you know what? When it comes to a game that is more about the player-controlled experience than it is about the story or the characters, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to get right to make it at least good enough to play and enjoy. And I'm telling you, they just blew that away in spades. You know, I don't know how many people out there who would stumble upon this review have played it or not. I would gather hopefully most of you, or at least a good amount of you. And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, man, but I got to tell you, it is just wonderful. The slide mechanic just feels great. The run mechanic, it's very simple, borrowed from Call of Duty, but it just feels better in this than I think it does in Call of Duty. You're getting crazy upgrades throughout the game, you know, depending on your class and your race. And, you know, a lot of times you're getting extra jump and warp and, jetpack boost abilities, all these different things that add to the mobility of your character. And even the aiming down sights and how you can move in and out of that while in air, jumping, boosting, and then sliding into this and that. I mean, it's just unreal how good it feels. So I just have to give Bungie the highest of fives for how they made this game turn out and how it feels. You can say what you want about the story, you can say what you want about other online elements, and I will get into that in a minute. You can say what you want about those things, but the game feels better than any shooter before, and that is a testament to how unbelievably great this game really is. Now let's talk about the online element for a minute, because it's obviously a huge part of this game and what what Bungie was trying to build Destiny as, and why people have been excited to play and get into this world. Like I said earlier, and you've probably heard the same thing, Bungie has been billing Destiny as a shared world shooter. That's kind of the term that they coined for this game. It's really about saying it's an online persistent world in a first-person shooter genre setting, where you've got a hub world that you can interact with people and upgrade your armor and your tech and your weapons and do all that stuff, interact with the community. And also, whenever you go out scouting for missions to do, whether you're doing it to level grind or whether you're actually doing it to further the story that the game actually presents to you, you're going to run into people. There's people all over the world everywhere you go. A lot of the game footage you're seeing in this review is actually probably showing that, where you can see people running around and you just come across them and you can interact with them if you want, or you can choose not to. They don't really impact your gameplay experience and how you experience the story, even in story-related missions. Now, that specific aspect, I love. I think it's great. It's perfectly handled. I love playing out my own Destiny experience and my Destiny story within the world, but still running into other people and knowing that that's another gamer doing something, and they're experiencing their own world, and I can go up and interact with him if I want, or we can get involved with the firefight and take care of some enemies together and then be on our merry way, or stick together if we want. That stuff is really, really well handled. There's other elements about it, though, that people seem to not really like. And I'll agree with some of them. You can't voice chat with people who you don't know in your friends list or at a party with. And I guess that's too bad, because you can't really get into VoIP like you could in like an actual MMO like WoW or Guild Wars or something, where you can actually start interacting with people. The level of interaction with other characters, even outside of the lack of voice, is pretty minimal. You can do a couple things as far as item swapping things, and you have these like gestures and dances and stuff you can do, which are really fun and funny to play with, sure, but they don't really bring you into the world or make you feel more connected to the people around you who are playing with you. When it comes to some of the online stuff, some of the game is always online, some of the PvP stuff, and some of the other things you can do specifically set up as missions co-op with other people, there's no real matchmaking in the game. And, I was having some conversations with people recently about that and, discovered the real truth of that. And although it's not really anything that I myself am spending some time in, really enjoying in the game, it's definitely something that is kind of a glaring omission. It is lacking, because that is something people are going to want out of a game like this, that is very much about that online interactive experience. You throw in hundreds of other players that you can run into in any given time, in any given map, on any given planet. You want to be able to do certain things with them, and you want it to be a benefit to the game experience that there's other people you can run into, basically. And while you can choose how much you interact or not interact with them, and I think that that is great to the benefit of the game, it still hinders the idea of the shared world experience. Because if you're not sharing a lot with the players around you, there's almost no point. They almost can feel like window dressing, depending on how you're choosing to play through the game. And although it's not really affecting my personal opinion and experience with that stuff, it is certainly something that is technically a problem. However, some of the other things that I really just can't stop loving about this game are pretty big deals and probably influence my decision to really be a big fan of this game more than anything else. And that is definitely going to be the RPG kind of element, the RPG system, and the loot system and the gear element to this game, because it is here, present in full force. I mean, if you didn't know any better and know that you were playing this game in first person with a freaking, futuristic machine gun in your hands at all times, you would think this was a seriously hardcore RPG experience, something akin to WoW or like the most hardcore Final Fantasy games and other JRPGs. It's insane. There's a lot that you can do in terms of finding gear in the world, upgrading all the different gear you have, both in terms of armor, your headsets, your ship that you're actually flying from planet to planet, and of course your weapons. That stuff is fantastic. It adds to the customization of your player, of your avatar within the game. considering that, again, the story is fairly minimal, so who you are seems to not really matter so much. Again, not something bothering me, but something I think a lot of people can understandably have a problem with, so I will agree that that is the way it is in the game. And so it's nice to be able to customize them in some way and make them feel more your own with how, you get a lot of things that you can use just to flesh out your character's visual experience that doesn't really enhance or decrease your stats. And that's really cool, too. I definitely think that that's pretty neat. And so I just can't get enough of traversing the world, moving at my own pace, and finding new gear. Also, the way you actually level up your character, every time you gain a new level, there's a lot of different things for you to look at and for a lot of different stats for you to take care of and increase. You have subclasses for the class that you actually choose amongst the initial 3, and every single class and subclass has literally like tons and tons of different elements that are going to improve your jumping ability, your armor ability, what kind of special move you have that's unique to the class, how effective is that special move, what kind of grenades do you have, how often do you use grenades, how slow is the cooldown, what's your extra shoot mechanic going to be, like can you do a double jump, or can you vaporize yourself from one area of the map to the other? I mean, there's just so many things, and that's just in your classes. All of the weapons and gear you pick up, like I said, also have their own elements that you can increase every time you get new things, and it just works wonderfully. I'm a sucker for leveling up. I'm a sucker for experience points. This game is all about leveling up, and it's also all about level grinding if you want it to be. It's not mandatory to be good at this game or to get through it, not even a little bit. However, it's a wonderful option you have available. The way you can go to any map previously explored and play through it at your own pace and still have it feel brand new, even though the setting is kind of familiar, is perfect. It is absolutely perfect to me and the things that I look for in a game like this, which is why it feels like Destiny is delivering on all of the experiences I actually have wanted to get out of it. I'm all about level grinding. I don't mind fighting the same enemies a couple times over and over again and, just getting new gear and new experience points, and I can do that, for a little bit, and I've leveled up twice. And now when I go back to the mission that I needed to accomplish, it's going to be that much easier, and I'm going to feel that much more unstoppable in a way that isn't making the game easy by any stretch, because it is also certainly not easy. So they've struck a wonderful, perfect balance with how you level up, how you treat your character, how you let your character interact with this world, and what you really want to get out of it. I think most importantly, that's it. You can get out of this game whatever you want based on what you decide to put into it. And that's an amazing level of empowerment and control that it gives the player to experience this really huge, vast world that they've created. So I could talk about all these other elements and all these things about Destiny until I'm blue in the face, and I could probably keep going for quite a while, but I'm not going to do that. The last thing that I really want to touch on here for you guys is, honestly, the presentation, the way the game is put together, the visuals, the way that the worlds look and feel, and your interaction with them looks and feels. It is top-notch. Again, like I said, personally, I'm playing this on the PlayStation 4. It is the game that made me decide to finally get a PlayStation 4. So I'm obviously working on that, more powerful system, that next-gen experience. The game is also available not only on the Xbox One, but also on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Regrettably, no Wii U version, but I mean, we probably all saw that coming. I would love this experience on the Wii U, but it is what it is. However, on the PlayStation 4, it's amazing. It's a really nice showcase for like my brand new toy, which is my new white PlayStation 4. So I'm loving being able to see what that system's kind of capable of. It is a little bit easy, maybe just for myself, to see where this game does have a foundation rooted in also the last generation, and this is really just the much better looking version of a game that is also on the last generation platform. So you can see that, but what they've done and achieved with the PlayStation 4, and I'm sure the Xbox One version of what as well, of Destiny, is beautiful. Speaking completely visually and aesthetically, it is everything I could ever want in any video game experience, ever. It's got this amazing, wonderful, futuristic vibe. As far as the look of the world, the worlds that you go to, the architecture, the characters, the fashion, I guess like the armor sets and all the stuff you're looking at, it's eerily reminiscent of both Star Wars and Metroid, which are literally my two favorite things ever. I mean, there's a reason there's a Metroid poster right here, because Metroid is just my favorite. Samus is the shit. And this game, playing through this game, makes me feel like I'm in a Star Wars experience or a Metroid experience, sometimes kind of both. And I think that's great inspiration to draw from. It just looks like you would think the future is supposed to look and feel. Also, you have these amazing, huge vistas, like these sweeping areas where there's all these huge, gigantic things way in the background, like way over there. Like, is it a planet? Is it an asteroid? Is it a building? I mean, it's all sorts of things. Like, who knows? There's like this just crazy shit moving around in the sky, you know? Like, there's just always something cool to look at. And when you can do that, when you can take and look around and just see all these things above you, no matter what planet you're on, that stuff just gives me goosebumps. And you can see way off into the distance, and you can go to most places. You can see a lot of things, and you can get to a lot of them. You know, there are times where the maps will start to feel a little bit narrow, and there might be a place you can't go to, sure. You know, no game is infinitely open as much as they want to try to make you feel like that. It's just not the case. So you're going to run into boundaries, sure. But it's definitely impressive in the several planets I've visited so far. It is impressive how large those maps are. They always start you in the same area, but you always have a reason to discover more and more within, and it's like, god damn, like there's still more areas to explore in this place than I thought I'd already seen it all. And then you find something else to do and somewhere else to go, and the game shows you a whole new area, and it'll look completely different from every other area that you've seen already on that planet. I mean, it's amazing, you know. And again, visually, it's stunning. The lighting and the reflections and the particles all look wonderful, wonderful. I just, you know, the music, top notch, of course. That's Bungie's thing, and it just feels like it feels like traversing through a Metroid game. Like I said, you know, as far as the ambience, because even beyond the visuals, it's also the atmosphere and the tone that the game creates, and it's perfect. It's just perfect, you know. I'm kind of like a fanboy gushing, even though I don't feel like a fanboy of Destiny. I'm really just somebody who was excited for the game and hoped that it was going to live up to what I wanted out of it. And all you're really hearing from me is that, for me, it's delivered on that experience and then some. Some of the matchmaking and online stuff, like I said, that people aren't really loving as much, I get it. It's not hindering my experience, which is why I love it. But some of those things are present problems, and I want to make anyone aware who maybe has those concerns that some of those things are actual issues, and they might hinder your experience, and that's okay. I'm not one of those people. The things that I needed out of Destiny, I've been getting, and I'm still loving it, and I see myself playing it for, you know, months and hopefully years to come. Bungie has this 10-year plan for the game where they want it to be able to last a decade, or, you know, keep this persistent online community going and everyone interested. And they have a lot of cool things where they're doing public events that just happen and spawn randomly within a map, and it's great because it brings all these random players in a map together. Everyone runs to this point, and it's like, boom, I got 4 friends all of a sudden, and now we're all trying to tackle the same objective. And it's great. It's so fun to be able to do that stuff, and that's when you do feel connected to the world and the other players around you. They also do these raids and these things that are, you know, planned, organized, so that it's like, you know, it's meet up at this time on this date, and everyone can get together. We can do this huge, crazy thing that we have to achieve that might take like an hour or two to do. Ripped straight out of the MMO template, and that's great because I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it's great because it shows that there is that level of trying to make it feel like that online world that people really kind of want it to be in Destiny. So yeah, and wrapping up, I mean, I think that's it. You know, those are my thoughts on Destiny. You're getting a good idea of my experience with the game, and you know what I wanted out of it, and you've heard me talk about why I've gotten what I've wanted out of it. So those are my thoughts. The game's amazing, you know. I mean, I would give it I'm not typically one to just like grade games or whatever, but it's definitely a 9 for me. It could be a 9.5 because the presentation is also so good. The things that, you know, some people don't like I said, they don't bother me. They're just not, they're not affecting my enjoyment of Destiny. So to me, the game is at least a 9, maybe a 9.5, you know, just because I am a sucker sometimes, and I just like enjoying games, and I enjoy the shit out of Destiny. So yeah, so that's it. You know, that's kind of what Destiny is. You've seen some of it. You heard me talk about it. You know what I feel. It's a wonderful game. I love Destiny. If you don't love Destiny, you should share below why you don't love Destiny. If you love it, you should share. Basically, whatever you guys have to say about the game, whether you're interested or not, whether you love it or hate it, I definitely want to hear. Share your thoughts below. Get people talking about it. You know, Destiny's a big deal. I hope it continues to see success. It's one of my favorite games of the year. Right now, it might be my favorite game of the year. I think that there are 2 specific ones still upcoming, maybe 3 that have a chance to probably beat it out for my personal game of the year. But as of right now, it's either Mario Kart or Destiny. I mean, Destiny is that good of a game. So anyway, that's it. So thanks for tuning in to my first, basically, video game review in quite a long time. I really hope you guys have a chance to check out Destiny. I'm loving the hell out of it. What do you guys think? Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next video.